Awesome. We'll give folks a few more minutes just to join in. Welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us. My name is Mars. I'm going to be hosting the information session today, so just wanted to say welcome. I know that there may be a few of you that are hopping on today that missed the other one a couple weeks ago. I know we had some miscommunication, so thank you so much for being here. Excited to get a chance to run through the information session again, and we're going to leave room for questions at the end of the presentation. Anything that you do ask throughout the duration of our time here today, we're going to have both Janine, Maritzi, and I believe we have some of our student ambassadors also attending in the background. So if for some reason you have a question and that rolls through, you're welcome to put it in the chat. And then we will try to get to that in the order that you submitted. And then, as I said, we'll leave room for questions at the very end. So thank you again for being here. We're gonna give a few more minutes. Perfect. Thank you all so much. I see some familiar names on here too. I think I have definitely had some interactions with a few of you. Awesome. Good morning. Good morning. Or good afternoon, I should say, depending on where you are. It is afternoon here. Awesome. So we'll go ahead and get started. So my name is Mars. Welcome to the UC Berkeley Master of Engineering Program Information Session. I'm going to chat with you a little bit today about what we've got going on over here at UC Berkeley, and hopefully get a chance to answer some of your questions regarding the program. And hopefully we get some of those things answered along the way. But if we don't, again, we'll leave room for questions at the end. All right. So just to give you a little bit of a rundown of what we're going to go through today, we're going to cover introductions, and then we'll also talk about the academics and program design of the MEng program. We'll cover a little bit of the capstone experience as well as career development and what we have to offer here, as well as some of the admissions overview, and then we're going to leave room for Q&A at the end. So again, my name is Mars Rivas. I am the Senior Admissions Officer for the program here. And then Maritzi, if you're on site, I'll go ahead and let you introduce yourself. Janine, I know you're here, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself. I know folks probably haven't had a chance to interact with you quite yet.
Yes. Hi. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Janine Bernard. I'm brand new and I'm interested in this to learn more about this program like you are. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful afternoon, California time.
Awesome. Thank you. So let me jump over to the next slide. All right. So we're going to cover a little bit of the academics and the program design for the Institute. And so first and foremost, this is the #3 overall program ranked in terms of the best engineering school. And so no matter what program you decide on, no matter which of the 7 departments that you end up pursuing, you will absolutely be in a top 3 ranked program. So you're going to walk out of here with a quality education, a solid name, a solid backing, and a great alumni network as well. So in order to break down some of the program, I think one of the most important things for us to cover is the distinction and the difference between the MEng and the MS program. A lot of times we have students that are very interested in attaining their master's, but they don't quite understand necessarily what the difference is between the MEng and the MS. So I'm going to do my best to break it down. So regarding the MEng program, we are a 1-year fast track program. In order to attain your degree requirements here, you do have to complete a total of 25 units or more. And so this is all specific to gaining your technical experience and essentially applying those skill sets to be able to walk out of your degree program with all the skills that you need to essentially be a leader within the field. And so this particular program really focuses and emphasizes on a capstone project. And so this is where you're actually going to be applying your skill sets and putting those things to use. And so when folks are asking like what this particular program is ideal for, it's always going to be best to really do the research and kind of understand what your degree is going to tailor you for. And for this particular experience, you're going to be ready to walk out in a managerial role. You'll be ready to essentially take the leadership on some of these, or take the lead on some of these major projects and major problems that folks are working on already in the industry. The difference between the MEng and the MS is essentially like an additional year of study. So while the MEng requires 25 units to complete, the Master of Science is going to be closer to a 2-year program. And so that can be anywhere between 25 to 50 units. And then within that particular field, you are more academic based. And so what that means is more research focused, more research emphasis. So if you are somebody who is maybe interested in academia long term, if you are somebody who is interested in attaining maybe a PhD, research is going to be sort of the bread and butter of your experience, then it might be a good idea to consider the Master of Science as opposed to the Master of Engineering. So that's just a quick overview breakdown of the differences between the MEng and the MS. Which departments do we have? So we talked about all of these three, or everything being ranked in the top 3 in the nation. So you're going to have the choice between these 7 departments. So we've got bioengineering, civil and environmental engineering, as well as electrical engineering and computer science. Anything that is computer science related is going to fall underneath the electrical engineering. So just make sure that, when you're ready and you're drafting your applications, that you essentially are selecting the right concentration as well as the subcategory of what you want to study. So we also have the industrial engineering department, as well as mechanical engineering, material science, and nuclear engineering. And these are just some of the sub-concentrations that we offer throughout the duration of time. We've continued to, there are little things that are, being added into the program. And so we will continue to update those things accordingly. And I won't go through every like technical concentration, but just so you have an idea of what to expect and what to look for, these are the things that are housed here. All right. So in terms of a schedule, so what you can expect once you are admitted into the program, this is sort of the outline of what it looks like. So once you get into the program, essentially we have a boot camp that runs the 1 week prior to each start term. So you're going to have essentially like an engineering leadership boot camp, one that runs in the fall and one that runs in the spring. And so these typically happen, as I said, like the week before the semester starts. Once you're actually in the program and we are getting started on the fall term is really designated for sort of like the self engagement, the self growth, being able to really communicate on the personal level, and making sure that you're able to apply those skill sets from that component. In your second semester in the spring term, this is where you start to jump into more of your communication for teams and how to essentially make those lines of communication work. So in the first semester, you're going to be looking at your engineering leadership and your boot camp classes that happen the week before the semester. You're also required to take 2 technical electives, and these are specific to your concentration. If for some reason you decide that there are other things that you want to pursue, maybe other technical electives that you want to get experience in, that is totally okay. You're not limited to just those 2 electives. If there's something that you're trying to attain or pursue or just put within your resume, that also leaves room and autonomy for choice. And so you'll also be working on your capstone project within both the first and second semesters. The first semester would be broken down into 2 units of the capstone project, while the second half of the semester is broken down into 3. And then again, the breakdown and differences between the first term and the second term really boil down to the communications between the individual self and then the group team setting. And then lastly, you'll have your project management and teaming in the first term, and then the coaching for the high performing teams on the second. So it's all embedded. You're constantly working on the capstone project throughout the duration of your time here. And so it does require a minimum of 25 units to be able to meet your requirements. But again, you're not limited to just those 12 units or 13 units within the first 2 terms. And so depending on availability, so let's say that you are somebody who is interested in gaining more of like the business background, as long as there is room within that technical elective, and then the professor gives you the ability and the permissions to be able to attend the class, typically all that requires is approval. And so again, that really is dependent on what's available each term. So when the program design is broken down, in terms of how we look at it, there are three different components that we really value, right? So your core curriculum is going to be about 8 units of leadership. So that is all specific to business concepts, management, strategy, innovation. All of those things are going to be embedded again within the program design. And the capstone unit, again, is one of those things that is broken down within both terms. So that's what you're seeing when it comes to the 5 units. All of that is really specific to collaborating with your peers. You aren't just put on a capstone project with folks that are within your same concentration. We actually make it a point to ensure that you are on capstone teams that are divided across the board so that you are actually working in real time with other engineers who are, on their areas of focus so that you can actually move forward to solving a real time problem. And it's specific to being able to get into the real world and what it's going to look like, so that you're prepared when you're actually out there working on your projects as a full-time engineer. And then with the technical specialization, again, you have room and autonomy for those 12 units based on your department, based on those concentrations, and based on the things that you are really trying to develop so that you can go out into the field and be prepared for your area of focus. So lots of autonomy here too, but we really, really emphasize collaboration and getting a chance to communicate with folks within those different departments. So we put out a survey a while back, and this is based on the National Association of Colleges and Employers. And so folks in the field were, or I'm sorry, our students were letting us know which were the key drivers to their success. And so while they had all of the technical skill sets and all of the hard skills that would allow you to say, hey, I'm a really qualified engineer, it was these components that actually put our students over the top. And so a lot of times they were really, we were getting that feedback from folks that it was actually the ability for folks to work in a team that they were really valuing. It was the leadership skills that they were actually looking for. It was the communication skills that were like, all of these things were in the top three. But when we talk about communication skills, it's one of those things where maybe you can explain and outline a problem or your capstone project in a way that you and maybe like other engineers within your field can understand. But just because you can communicate it to them doesn't necessarily mean that you can communicate that to maybe another group of engineers or maybe another group of folks who are not engineers and who are trying to really understand this information from like, like from the bare bones setting. And so being able to communicate that in a way that people can understand is deeply, deeply important. And so that was one of the reasons that we saw these top three factors as what folks were looking for in their employees and when they were hiring new students out of school. So these are all of the things that you're going to get within this program, and they are going to essentially make you the qualified leader that you need to be prepared and ready to go as soon as you walk out of here. So now we'll touch a little bit on the capstone experience and sort of what that means. And so these are some of the projects that we actually have and that our students have worked on in real time here at Berkeley. And so if you can just see some of these, cohort experiences, these are just, like I said, a few things that folks have been working on. So I won't go through all of them, but if they kind of touch on some things that maybe you're interested in, maybe something that you're interested in studying isn't quite on this list, but we can always add that once you get in here and once you start solving those problems in real time. And so our engineers are so smart, they are so talented, they are so creative, and it's really, really great to see all of the projects and the things that they're working on and what they put forward at the end of the year. And so typically at the end of the year, we will have a capstone like hub project where folks can present their materials right there in the front lawn of Mud Hall, which is where sort of all of our classes are held in that main building. And so it's actually an event for our professors, faculty, staff, alumni to sort of come through and see exactly what you've worked on throughout the duration of your time here at the program. And so we can actually see it. You get to present it with your peers, so we can actually get a chance to see those team metrics and those things that you've been working on in real time. It's probably like I think our biggest event. I think folks really look forward to it at the end of the year and they get really excited. We have like a whole food setup. We have like all kinds of cool projects like lined up throughout the courtyard. So it's really, really cool. And I encourage folks to come see it. Even if you aren't a student, it really gives you a chance to explore. And so for every project that folks are working on, it really does have a real life technical challenge. And so that is what folks are presenting at the end of the year is everything that they have come up with up to that point so that we can actually see it. And so a lot of innovative folks, a lot of creativity, a lot of really hard work put in all at once. Folks typically ask what separates UC Berkeley from the rest of, these Master of Engineering programs, and I would say it's our career services that is one component that not every institution has. So while any university that you have attended or have familiarity with, every institution has a career services department. But the great thing about FUNG is that we actually have one that is specific and unique to our engineering students. So that means you're going to have a lot of resources that are available to you that have been outlined by other folks who are in the field, who have been doing this work, who have been at the FUNG Institute since the very beginning. And I think that really preps students for the job market. You're going to get one-on-one career coaching. The way that the integration is happening in the classrooms, the workshops that you have access to, all of these things are going to prepare you for your real world settings. And then you're also going to have access to like resume writing workshops, cover letter writing. There are so many things that are embedded within this program that you get access to. The fact that folks are walking out of here with like salary negotiating tactics and skill sets is really unheard of. And so I think that's also one of the things that is really special and unique to Berkeley is the resources that you're going to attain as you become a student here. And that also includes our alumni. And so you get access to the FI Connect network. This is actually going to put you in a setting to be able to communicate with other folks who have graduated from the program, who are maybe looking for folks to get involved in their capstone projects. You'll be able to attend all kinds of webinar series and essentially be able to be paired with mentors and things along those lines. And so I think it's a really, really great system to be a part of. We also have affinity group leaders that are here within Fung Institute. That's also going to be folks that you can get a chance to meet with and interact with throughout the duration of the year as you're also prepping for your applications. And so that's also a unique thing that we offer here at the Institute. When we talk about those alumni networking events, as a student here, I believe we have at least 3 or 4 networking events throughout the duration of the year. And they're the thing that our students look forward to most. And then our alumni actually looks forward to getting to come back because the program is so quick and so fast tracked that, a lot of folks, I would say that they're like, hey, how can we continue to stay involved? And that's what's been so great about the Institute. So you get an opportunity to network at every level. Sometimes we have networking brunches where you can, come eat, come engage, come talk, get a chance to meet people that are going to be doing the same work that you're doing or who have gone through this program before. We have all kinds of employer events. So whenever you're getting towards the end of the year and you're ready to start putting yourself out there and starting to get your resume book and everything like that ready, employer events that can potentially hire you on site. So I think that there are a lot of really great opportunities here within Berkeley. Again, one of the unique things that separates us from all of the other programs. Folks always ask like, okay, well, what are your students doing and where are they going? Where have they landed after they've attended, Fung Institute? And so this is an example of where folks have ended up. We have a number of folks who are founders, who are CEOs, COOs, and then you can kind of see where they've landed in terms of big tech or academia. A ton of folks that are in academia kind of sort of stay within that field. But also, if you're somebody who's interested in a startup, we have had a number of alumni who have started, launched their own businesses, are doing their own thing. I believe we have a number of folks who have been listed in Forbes 30 under 30. That's about 8. And then from our Fung Institute program, that is about 50 plus founders. And it looks like we have 66% of our graduates who are employed within the state of California, and about 82% of our students who have graduated from the MEng program end up staying to work in the US. So lots of great resources here, lots of connections, and lots of ways to set our students up for success. Um, I know that folks can always ask about what the cost of the program is, which is a really, really important question. Cost of our program is roughly around $62,000 per year. And so I always feel like it's really important for our students to also know what they're walking out with in terms of like what they've invested in their academics. And so the average, or I'm sorry, the median salary for folks that are coming out of the MEng program is about $115,000, with a typical signing bonus of just under $12,000. And so I think that number and metric is important for folks to see, so that you also know kind of like what you're walking into. And that can vary too, depending on your field, depending on your concentration, depending on what state or area you end up working in. There's all kinds of ranges for that as well. All right, so for our class of 2025, we had about 458 students in our class size. And so if you look at the bottom right-hand corner of the slide, you'll see the breakdown of the cohorts by department. Our largest one being mechanical engineering. And then the next I would say is industrial engineering, and then electrical engineering and computer science. I would say those are our three largest programs that we receive applications for. And then we also have a list of our top 5 undergraduate universities from which folks have been represented from. But our average age on the program is about 23, and there are 63% of our students are international by passport. So an extremely diverse program. Folks are really excited to be here. We have a lot of great stuff going on over here at UC Berkeley. And so we're really proud of those metrics and of those numbers. All right. So application requirements. The application is currently open right now. And so it opened up earlier this in September. And we are going to have that open all the way up until January 7th of 2026. My recommendation is to ensure that you are submitting your application well before the deadline, just because there are other things that it may take time to complete the process within itself. But these are the things that you do need in order to submit an application. So you'll want to go ahead and create that online, and make sure that you kind of have an understanding of like what your department is and what your sub-concentration is, to be as specific as possible. And then you're going to need either a CV or a resume, as well as your academic transcripts. With the academic transcripts, we don't require the official documents right now. As long as you have like a copy of the official documents, you're welcome to submit those. And then if you are admitted into the program, we will request official documents at that time. You're also required to have a statement of purpose as well as a personal history statement. So those are two different statements. We're going to have a writing workshop that's coming up this month as well, where we'll break down what that means and what we're looking for within each statement. And then we do not require the GRE. The only department that requires that for FUNG is the Industrial Engineering and Operations Research Program. Any other program does not require it. So if you submit it, it will not be considered within your application. And then we do require 2 letters of recommendation for your application. The third is optional. And so I just want to reiterate that whenever you're submitting those letters of rec, they are always received in terms of the order that they are submitted. So if we require 2, but you're really hoping for like that third recommender is like really one that you want to get in, then you'll want to make sure that they submit their recommendation first so that it can be accounted for, because we will read the first 2 that are submitted first. And then the TOEFL or the IELTS is required if you are an international student, or if you completed your degree in a country where it was not taught in English. So if you need clarification on any of that stuff, we can always direct you to the right resources, so that you can ensure that your materials are accurate and submitted well within the time frame. And then, of course, we'll make ourselves available for any questions as well at the end. But we do have the application workshop coming up, as well as the writing workshop. And so those will be some more info sessions that you can attend to sort of get more information on how to draft a solid application and a strong application.
Yes,
Uh,
and one
Go ahead.
quick addition. So I believe that our online graduate admissions application may require 3, only because that's how most departments on campus require. But so if you only have two, or not only, but if you meet our requirement of two, but and don't have a third, but need to get your application submitted, you can just write in your name, and just make sure that the system thinks you're the third, and so that gets through. But as long as you have two minimum, you're set.
Thank you so much for that. That is so helpful. I know that folks have totally emailed with that, so I'm sure that somebody on this info session will find that helpful. Thank you, Janine. Awesome. So for application fee waivers, these are exclusive to those who have either graduated from UC Berkeley. So if you are an undergrad or an alum from UC Berkeley, or if you are a California resident who has attended a CSU or a UC system, you have to meet those requirements in order to be eligible for an application fee waiver. They are open to both US citizens and permanent residents. And so if that's something that is a barrier for you submitting an application, please reach out to us, send an email to the Fung Institute inbox, and then either myself and Janine will take a look at that and figure out what next steps are. And yeah, so if let's say that you are somebody who meets these requirements, so let's say you're a California resident and you are an undergrad from UC Berkeley or from a UC system. Once you go through and you submit your application and you get all the way to the end, typically it will auto populate that you have met those requirements. And so if you get to the end of the application and you submit your materials and then it doesn't ask for payment, that is typically what happens. And so if you have met those requirements, it won't follow back up and reach out and say, hey, you didn't pay. But if for some reason you did not, you don't meet those requirements, and you haven't paid your application fee yet, just know that your application will still be considered incomplete until the payment is processed. And I know folks have received an email maybe about 24 hours after the formal submission when their payment link becomes available. So just make sure that you are checking your email, you're logging back into your portal to just make sure that everything is done the way that it needs to be so that you don't like accidentally rule yourself out by not submitting payment. And so if you need any clarification on that, I'll hang back for that as well. But once you get to the credit card option, if you're waiting for a fee waiver, you can simply submit your application without having to input that information. And then as we get closer to the deadline, we will be sending reminders just in case you have not been awarded a waiver, then you can go through and submit your payment. And so that's the information that I have on the fee waivers. All right, and so funding your education here at the program. So these again are the tuition numbers for cost of attendance here. So if you're a California resident, we're looking at closer to 56,500, and then if you are a non-California resident, we're looking at closer to 68,000. And so these are general numbers. They are subject to change every year as we get through the fiscal year, or there can be changes made. So the numbers are subject to change. And so regarding full-time funding opportunities, we do have quite a few things that are available here at Fung. We have the Dean's Full Scholarship available, the Dean's Grant. We also have the Fung Excellence Award. So that one is a merit-based award. And then we also have the Opportunity Grant, which is need or educational diversity based. And then those ranges for these scholarship and grant opportunities can be anywhere between $1,000 to $30,000. And I know that the next question is going to be, how do we apply for those? So whenever you are drafting up your application, once you have input all of that information into your grad app, anything that you have selected on those deciding factors, there are questions that are asked to you within that application portal. And so if you are selecting, like, yes, I fall within this category, or yes, this is my experience, that will automatically put you into review for these for any of the opportunities that you are eligible for. And then it will be up to us in the background to be reviewing. We have a whole system in place that we'll go through and ensure that all of those things are accounted for. And then you would be notified that you received any of that funding closer towards the start of the term. And so we try really hard to get that information out ahead of time so that you are aware of what your funding opportunities are, because we know that that can impact your decision. It can be a deciding factor for folks, especially if you've gotten into more than one program. So make sure that you're filling out everything to the best of your ability in your application. And then those things will automatically opt you in for either like the Dean's Grant, the Excellence Opportunity, based off of what you have opted for within your application. Righty. And so upcoming events for this month. So y'all are attending this one right now. So the 1020 is this general program information session. On the 24th, that's when we're going to have the application workshop. Same time, so 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. PST. And the application workshop will be a breakdown of sort of what to expect, what to look for as you're working through your application materials. So we try to walk you through step by step of like what you're going to be seeing. And then on the 27th, we're going to have the graduate writing workshop. And this is the one that we're going to break down the difference between the personal history statement and the statement of purpose. And so that way you can kind of get some clarification on what you need to be able to clearly outline those things so that you can submit a solid application. And so we're also going to host these same information sessions throughout the month of November as well as the month of December. So if anything comes up, if you didn't get your questions answered, you're always welcome to shoot us an email either at the general inbox. You can ask your question here today in the chat, or we're going to open up the floor here in a minute to ask anything that does come up. But just know that we're all available to you and you're welcome to ask anything. There is no such thing as a dumb question. We want to make sure that we get everything clarified for you so that you feel good about what you're submitting, not just for our program, but for any program that you decide to submit to. And so if you want to mark your calendars for any of those, I can always put this slide back up so that you can mark your calendar for any of those. And then we'll post that as well as the slides. And then if you'd like to give us a follow on social media, you're welcome to do so here. You can find us at the Fung Institute. It looks like we're on Instagram, Facebook. You're also welcome to look up the hashtag. There's a bunch of cool like short videos and things that we've had like some of our alum featured on before. So great opportunities to learn more. And then throughout the year, we also have our ambassadors that sort of do takeovers, social media takeovers. So it's also a good way to keep up and sort of follow along on maybe like what their real-time day looks like, on an average week as a Meng student. So keep up with some of those things on socials. And then what I'm going to do is I'll jump back over here to kind of give you the dates, just in case you want to hold on to any of that. But now we're going to go ahead and open up the floor for questions. And then if y'all have anything, I'll do the best of my ability to keep up and check in the chat.
Go ahead, Saishriya. And then we have a couple of questions in the chat. So let's go first with the live one, and then we can move over to the chat.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for a really useful presentation. But I just had a couple questions on like the distinguishment between the different EECS programs. I know you touched on it a bit before, but I'm on the application right now, and I see one that says EECS Computer Science MS, and then EECS Electrical Engineering and Computer Science MEng, and then EECS Electrical Engineering and Computer Science MS. So what is like the difference between the three of those?
Okay, so the difference between those programs is going to be a matter of duration. So how we were talking about this earlier in terms of the Master of Engineering and the Master of Science. So our particular program with MEng is going to be 1 year. It's going to be a fast track technical program. Anything else that is outlined with MS is going to be more like academic faced or academic focused. So a thesis, research, long-term leading to like PhD potentially. And then it would be a 2-year program as opposed to a 1. So no capstone project with MS, but the capstone project is with MEng. So if you know for sure that you want to apply to the Master of Engineering, then inside the application portal, the right one would be Electrical Engineering and Computer Science MEng.
Okay, sounds good. And I also have just a follow-up question
Yeah,
regarding the capstone project. Um, do we get to choose our faculty advisor for that, or are we uh just assigned one? Or how does that process work?
I believe that that is dependent on which capstone project that you are assigned to. So depending on which one that you ended up getting like assigned to, I believe that the students are allowed to like pick their like top three once the list is like put out, and then depending on which one you get assigned to, that would be who your like faculty report would be.
Okay, I see. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
I
so welcome.
just wanted to add one more thing. So sorry. We also have faculty led projects, which is when students work on faculty projects and they're advised by PhD candidates and postdoctoral researchers at from UC Berkeley. And then there's partner projects, which students are working on with a technical expert from my partnered organization. So it just really depends on what group you are assigned.
Thank
Oh,
you. See, that was super helpful.
wait, I have a follow-up, sorry.
Yes, no worries.
So do we get to choose if we want to do a partner one or like a faculty-led one? Or is that just dependent on like what like your concentration is?
It just depends. So you don't necessarily get to choose, but you do during the summer, the capstone team will send out a list of projects. And so there you'll be able to kind of like explore which ones you're interested in. And some projects are they're already kind of like built and set up. So it just really depends.
Okay, I see. Thank you so much.
So I see Matthew. Go ahead.
Hi, I was hoping that you could tell me a little bit more about the part-time option, how it differs in the program, and if there was anywhere on the application that you should indicate that you're interested in the part-time option.
So technically not all departments offer part-time as an option. I know for sure I don't believe like electrical engineering and computer science, I don't believe that is a part-time option. So depending on what your concentration or area of focus would be, then we would need to put you in touch with that particular student advisor so that we can make sure that that is something that is available to you. And then they would be the ones to be able to guide you, counsel you, depending on that concentration.
Perfect. So how could I reach out to those advisors?
What's your area of concentration that you would
Mechanical
be?
engineering?
Which one?
Mechanical engineering?
Mechanical engineering. Okay, cool. Then shoot me. Let me see. Um, let me just do something real quick. Matthew, can you do me a favor? Can you shoot me your email address directly in the chat? And then what I'll do is I will reach out to that GSAO so that we can see about getting some information for your question.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
All right. And then I see Emmy. I see your hand up.
Sure, thanks. Yes, my question is the same of the MN, because I saw on the website that is a path for machine learning and AI, but I'm not sure it's only MN or MS or even both of them. Well, I'm looking into computer science field, so I'm not aware of if only it is those ones that you showed us, or is I'm kind of confused, sorry, but I was just kind of because I saw that path of machine learning and AI, but I'm not sure it's only on MS or it's also in MN.
Yeah, I hear you. Let's see. So here is a list of these are the list of the subconcentrations that we offer within the Master of Engineering program here at Fung Institute. So if the MEng is the program that you're interested in, then these would be the subcategories like data science, computer systems, integrated circuits, and physical electronics. So all of these would be the subconcentrations that fall under EECS as of right now that we are offering in MEng. Um, if if those things are specific to what you want to do in terms of the technical skill sets, and like if that is something that you are interested in doing in terms of gaining the leadership experience in, then the Master of Engineering for that particular EECS department would be your choice. If the Master of Science is your area for electrical engineering and computer science, then that would be specific to like research, writing your thesis. Then the MS might be the better option for you if you know that you may want to be in academia long term, or if you feel like the PhD is going to be your next route. If you're if you feel like applying your technical skill sets and gaining the leadership skills so that you can walk out in a leadership role is the direction you want to go, then it feels like the Master of Engineering might be the better concentration. Does that help answer your question, Emmy?
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm sorry, I'm less confused. So yeah, I got the information. Thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. Amando, I see your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I have a question about choosing a concentration. So I'm looking at mechanical engineering, and I feel like there's a few concentrations that are overlapping, and it's kind of tough to decide between them. And it also depends on what courses are going to be offered. Who do you recommend talking to try and parse through the different concentrations and figuring out which one might be the best fit for me?
I definitely feel like I will need to put you in touch with a GSAO that is in
Mhm.
mechanical engineering, so we can just make sure that they can answer specifically your questions regarding the sub-concentrations. I am writing
Okay.
down your information as well, and then that way I can reach out to the right person about that.
All right, I appreciate that.
Absolutely. You're so welcome.
Can I just ask real quickly, is it possible to apply to 2 concentrations and be considered for both, or do you need to only apply for 1?
You can only apply for one. So here at UC Berkeley, you can only apply for one master's program. So you would definitely have to like make your choice ahead of time before you actually submit. The only other department that would allow you to choose like a backup would be electrical engineering. And so they allow for like a backup concentration in the event that you're not selected for EECS. And so that is an option. But if you were to apply for two programs, you would essentially rule yourself out because you're only allowed to submit for one.
Understood. Thank you. And sorry to jump the line.
No, you're totally fine. Thank you.
Piggyback off that one.
Let's see. I have next Anthony. Is that how I say that?
Yeah, correct. Thank you. I had just a question about the specialization or concentration. So if I, for example, apply to a concentration that is particularly popular, is there like a quota or limit that makes admission to that concentration more competitive?
I mean, technically, yes. So like, let's say like electrical engineering and computer science is one of our largest departments. I would say also mechanical engineering, right? And so because those are two of our largest departments, it's where we get the most applications. Sure, the concentration can be saturated, but I think one of the great things is that if you are able to outline what your sub concentration is and you're able to make those distinctions and connections clearly, I feel like that can actually go a long way as opposed to something that's very general and specific to EECS. And so I think it's also being able to like clearly outline what you want to do within that specific sub concentration that can go a long way. Does that make sense?
Okay, so for a sub-concentration, I mean, or let me clarify, like for the sub-concentration specifically within, for example, EECS, is there like a limit, for example, for data science? So
Could
how,
you cut out on that last part? Could you say the last part? Is there a
is there, for example, a limit for specifically data science, for example, to how many
Oh,
applicants are there?
no,
So,
no, 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 not at all.
okay,
Not at all.
okay. Yeah, thank you.
You're so welcome. Giovanni?
Yes. My question, I think I saw someone say that there were some students currently in the program on the call. So I was just gonna ask them, kind of like what made them pick pursuing this degree versus, going to work or picking a PhD or doing the Masters of Science. Yeah.
Perfect,
Yes.
Giovanni. And somebody in the chat also is asking about the housing situation. So maybe our ambassadors on the call can speak to Giovanni's question and then also to Art. Well, your vote.
Yeah, sure. I can take Giovanni's question. So you wanted to know why I picked this program, just to clarify?
Yeah, like why you specifically picked like the Masters of Engineering versus maybe choosing to work or going to get your PhD or getting a Master's of Science. Yeah.
Okay, so I picked this program because it allowed me the flexibility to change my engineering discipline. So I had an undergrad in chemical engineering back from the UK, and I picked this program because it allowed me to switch to mechanical engineering. So now I'm studying mechanical engineering with the robotics concentration. And together with the bootcamp courses, I get essentially an MBA and a Master's of Engineering combined. So I have leadership skills for when I go into the workplace, so I could get a faster promotion. I hope that answers your question. And I think there's a question about housing.
Yes, yes. Can you speak to how you managed to find housing, the process?
Okay, so with housing, I chose to live at iHouse in Berkeley, which is International House. It's mainly because I'm moving to a different country. I wanted to make friends. So I figured the best way to make friends is by living in dorms. So I think around May, I sent over an application for iHouse, and within a week, I was accepted to live there. Uh, wait, I got.
I'm sorry, I'm also a current student, and another thing I would say about housing is that it's important to know like what you want out of it. So Jarrah was saying that he wanted to make friends. So like living in one of those like iHouse, or I know XR is a really popular place that people live. Like I know personally, I lived with roommates all of undergrad, so I went to live somewhere quieter. So like picking where you want to be. So like I live in North Campus. So just kind of isolating what you want out of your living situation, and then like you can talk to us and kind of help pick like what would work for you.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate you both. Gina, go ahead.
Hi, I was just curious if you could elaborate more about the employer events that you were talking about that Fung Institute has for students to be able to interact with companies and industry. Like, are there kind of the same events that are happening every year, or does it differ?
Yeah, so pretty much we have a lot of the things that we kind of cycle on throughout the duration of the year because they work well. So like uh, one of those things is like the alumni brunch. We don't just open it just to the alumni. It's like current students get to go as well. And it's a perfect like partnership for them to just be able to kind of be in like a low stress environment. It's not like, oh, you have to present this information, but rather like we want them to be able to just like feel normal, engage, feel like you're just, kind of on a regular day. So that's one of them. We typically host that one in the city. I believe at Hard Rock over there by the pier. And then we also have where else did we do? That was a dinner that we had at the pier. I believe we just had a brunch recently. That was an alumni brunch. Janine might be able to speak more to that particular event, just because I didn't get to go to that one. But yeah, we have a number of things. Like we'll do alumni happy hours. We do all kinds of those things, and then for specific like hiring events, I feel like the career services might be better able to answer that, but we definitely host like very similar things, like more alumni like networking events. Please come through, see what the students have been working on, check out their portfolios. Yeah, Janine, Maritza, you have anything?
Yeah, so I was very lucky. I started 3 weeks into my start date here at Fung. We had the alumni brunch, and it was held at the University Club at the football stadium, so way up top. A beautiful location. Coleman Fung, our founder, was there along with the dean of the College of Engineering. And what was really cool is that some of our alumni um, were hiring got a little button that says, "Hi, I'm hiring." And so that was a really great way to kind of connect people. And at these, I had somebody in my past who would say network or not work, right? So these are perfect opportunities to create a large network. And it doesn't even have to be, give me a job right now. It's kind of talking, and people at Berkeley cannot help themselves. They're like, oh, that's super interesting. Maybe we should talk. So it's very authentic. It's very kind of natural the way these things come up. So, and that, like Mars said, this is a great specific thing that we have career services for this degree, while there's career services on campus for all of campus. And so this is specifically for our MEng. Yeah, so that's my 2 cents. And then just quick time check. It's 12:51 right now, so we have about 9 minutes. Any questions that we have for our ambassadors right now? I know that they can speak to the student experience in ways that we can't, so feel free to ask them. I did see something about how can somebody better their chances for this program. So I don't know if folks want to speak to that, like what can you spruce up from one admission cycle to the next?
Does anyone have any questions?
I've got a couple hands raised. I see. Is that Ikai?
It's Ikai, but no
Ikai.
one gets it right the
Oh,
first time.
my
No
apologies.
worries, no worries. So yeah, I just have a quick question, kind of just going along with like the post-graduation, just employment. Coming from like an international student point of view, I just kind of want to know, when you're bringing up the stats about, I think it was like 82, 83% of students, that's employed after graduation. I just want to know how many of them are like under F1 visa, or like the success rate of like getting H1B after that. So yeah, just like a little bit more information from like international student point of view.
Oh, that's a great question. That is something that I may have to follow up with you on, and maybe get some answers from like some other folks that I'm not as well versed with like what all of the ins and outs entail, but I do feel like we have um, a lot of the systems like in place. Like a lot of times, like when our students are here, it's like in the same way that they're coming through like BioE, like we have a Berkeley like international office, and so typically like we try to set all of those things up so that they're going through the system, because the last thing that we want to do is put any students at risk or like in jeopardy of anything. So we want to ensure that we're following all of the appropriate like protocol metrics, and so I think in that sense, I would probably need to do some research with like the international office to figure out like what that data and those metrics look like. But I know that it's totally doable. I know that it happens because we have the metrics and the data here. So I know that folks are getting their job offers and that they're, getting all the necessary stuff in place, but I don't want to give any misinformation. So I would probably need to follow up with like the bio office about that. But that's a great question.
Gotcha. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. If you want, you can shoot us an email in the general inbox, and then that way I can actually like follow up to get you some like substantial stuff.
Gotcha. Will do.
All right. And Fernie, I saw your name come up again.
Yeah, thank you. I just had one question about like the letter of recommendations. So in general, I didn't find directly it on the website. So what kind of information are you like seeking from our recommenders? So what would you advise us in choosing our recommenders, and what mixture in terms of professional academic context?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a great question. I think first and foremost, I think it's really important to number one, like ask recommenders that you actually have a relationship with, whether that be like a professional, whether that be an instructor or professor. You'd be surprised at how many folks ask people for recommendation letters because they feel like they need to like just check off this category, like, oh, I have to have an academic letter of recommendation. So then they ask someone, but they don't actually have a substantial relationship with them. I feel like that can kind of hinder the application, especially if like they only write maybe like a paragraph. What we're looking for and what we want to know is about like how you handle yourself in academic situations, how you handle yourself in professional situations. Like, what do your recommenders know about you, your ethic, your commitment, like any of the things that they can speak to that really can shine on your experience, whether that be in the classroom or in the work setting. Even like folks that you have, like maybe you volunteered for an organization for a really long time, that still counts towards like some leadership, something. All of those things are really important, but we need to be able to sort of get that you have the ability to like handle rigor, that you have the ability to communicate, that you have, you know, these leadership skills. So it's like we want to hear from recommenders who actually know you. So I think that's one piece of advice that I could give. Is to definitely like reach out with folks that you have like a relationship with. And if you don't have somebody that you're in touch with right now, that's okay. It's not too late. I would encourage folks to stay in touch, reach out, develop that relationship with an instructor that maybe you're going to ask, so that they, you know, remind them like I sat with you through these specific classes, or like this is where I used to work with you at. And so I just need them to be able to really speak to your experience and who you are as an individual. If they don't know you, they're not going to be able to speak to any of that, and that will come through on the application. So definitely recommend asking folks that you know, who can speak to all of those components.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Giovanni?
I got another question for the students. Like apart from, it being a very good school and, in a good city for a lot of, jobs after graduation, could you maybe say just kind of one thing that made you pick Berkeley? Maybe, somewhat unique or yeah.
Yeah, I can take this question. So, one of the main things I liked about Berkeley is the proximity to so many tech companies and startups. Like yesterday, I went on a field trip with the Robotics Affinity Group to a YC-funded startup called Multiply Labs. They gave us a tour of their workspace, and it was really cool to network with people in the startup space and leveraging that for our job applications.
I have a kind of non-academic answer to this, but I am a long distance runner and I love that California has so many trails and so much nature. I'm from Texas, so we don't really go outside a ton. So being able to do that and like pursue my outdoor hobbies has been really nice.
And I'll just say, like, as somebody who works at UC Berkeley, of all of the institutions that have worked for, I definitely feel like there's something about Berkeley that is very unique, it's very specific. And the level, like, I just feel like the way that we can kind of operate in terms of like being a little bit casual, but you're still allowed to like be yourself and thrive and do all these things that doesn't feel so stale. I feel like that's been something that's been very unique and very special about Berkeley. Also, as somebody who was like from Texas, I feel like there are so many things that this area has to offer. So it's like, yeah, whether you're into startup or whether you're into tech, but also like you're going to have a lot of other things that you're probably very into. And being in an area that is so diverse, you know, within community, within, I would say like not just people, but like, what's the, like geographically, like there's so much diversity within anything. So it's like you can literally, be an outdoorsy person, you can be a water person, like there's so much to do, but the way that those things overlap with what you're already doing because of who you're around is very unique. And I feel like I have not experienced that anywhere except for on this Berkeley campus. And so if that's something that I can share that is helpful for students, like, I hope that helps. All right.
Great. So we have only time, we're at time basically, but we'll take Pete and then Budiyawat, and then no more questions, but you can email us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I am kind of a mid-career professional. I've been in the workforce for about 7 or 8 years now, and I'm doing a career transition into kind of mechanical engineering. Part of what I'm doing is I'm taking coursework to sort of fill the gaps in my background. But obviously between the Jan 6 application deadline and the start of term, There's time in there where I'm planning on taking other classes, but they won't be on my application. Is there any way to kind of emphasize what classes I'm taking, or sort of like a promise of, hey, I am taking these classes in the interim time?
Yeah, absolutely. So if there's no room for it to necessarily like show up like on the transcript, like let's say that you're already enrolled but the grade hasn't posted yet, like if you're able to use one of those like unofficial transcripts so that we can actually see like what you're enrolled in, it will reflect on there even if the grade hasn't posted. There's also an opportunity for you to outline that in your statement. So whether that be like personal history or statement of purpose, you can always outline like what you're doing to sort of help prepare yourself and in order to help bridge some of those maybe like, you know, like gaps, right? So like that's also an opportunity for you to be able to make the connection about what you've been doing to grow your application in order to be prepared to step into this. And just some words of encouragement, like again, this is a program that does not require you to have like an engineering background. And these things that we also offer, like unless they're a hard line requirement, most things are a suggestion. So as long as you can include that within your application so that we can see and we can make the connection that you are working towards it, there are many ways to do that. So either the unofficial transcript or in the statements.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Pete. And then Bunia Watt, your turn.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. So I'm currently interested in applying for the EECS MEng program. I'm just wondering what the general application process is like. Would there be any interviews or anything sort of like that in the process?
So typically it's just the submission of your application. I am not aware of any like specific interviews that have had to happen. I think the only time that we have ever had like a sit down interview is if in the event we needed some clarification on something or like there was something that we needed to clarify. But to my understanding, there are not any interviews related to like the EECS department.
I see. Thank you very much.
Yes, you're so welcome. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for being here today. We're at time. If anything comes up, feel free to shoot us an email at the General Fung inbox. And I hope to see you again on the 24th for the next presentation. So if you need some clarification, just let us know. But always happy to answer your questions. And so again, thank you for being here, and we hope to see y'all soon.
Thank you.